Hey everybody, happy Sunday. Welcome to Etcetera Live. I'm your host, Kelly Barrett. Super thrilled to have my guest today. I have an American guest on the show, which is a real rarity for Etcetera Live. She is lead guitarist as well as vocals for one of the hottest all-female bands ever on the planet. Please welcome Britt Lightning from VIXEN. Britt.
Hello. Hi, everybody. Thanks for having me.
How are you?
I'm doing great. I'm doing great.
I was just thinking, you're joining us from Los Angeles, California, and I'm assuming that it's a whole lot warmer there than it is where I am.
Probably. Although it's kind of chilly right now for us. I got frost on the ground the other morning here. So, it's getting, yeah.
I bet that never happens, eh? Right on. So, excitingly enough, you are just fresh off the KISS cruise. Tell me how that was.
That was a blast. I'm still getting my voice back from it. So, but it was a great time. We had shows on that cruise. It was just so fun seeing KISS a bunch of times in and out of makeup. And then also there was like Striper, Buck Cherry, Plush, which is another great up and coming all female band. So there's a lot of great friends. Those cruises are like big reunions. You just see people that you know and love, and it's great to have everybody in the same place for once, because usually we're all in different cities on tour. Sebastian was on it. Who else? Yeah, just a bunch of great people.
Right on. I saw some of the pictures on your Facebook page with Paul Stanley and whatnot, and apparently he's just a really nice, accessible, relatable
He is,
human.
and what I think is really cool is that he really went around and listened to all the bands on the cruise. He went out, watched shows. It's very cool. So yeah.
Right on. And I'm wondering, Britt, is there a certain amount of pressure that comes along with, like normally you're one of, you're the headliner or you're one of a couple of bands, but when there's that level of talent and you're being watched, I just couldn't help but wonder, is there a certain amount of pressure that comes along with that?
Yeah, I looked over and saw Paul Stanley on the side of the stage. I was like, oh my God. I'm just not going to look.
Right? Yeah. Jay Leno in his pajamas. Just something to keep it together, right?
Right.
Oh, right on. And so, Britt, I know this probably is a question that gets really boring for you, but, inquiring minds do want to know. Can you tell us how you started on this crazy rock and roll journey of yours?
Yeah. I started because I heard Eddie Van Halen, I heard Eruption, and I was like, oh, this is way cooler than the flute. I played the flute before.
Right.
Yeah, I think I'll trade this in for an electric guitar and join a band. And this is my next step. And then I just became super focused on that. All through high school. I started playing late. I started playing in high school. And then, I had a band all through college, started touring and playing in bars and clubs all over Boston where I grew up. And then that's basically how it started. And it also helped that I had a very supportive family that encouraged me to pursue my dreams and have fun. And they were cool with me playing in bars and clubs when I was underage. So that helped.
Right. Actually, that's funny you should mention that, Britt, because that was one of my questions to you was what was the action from the parents? Because I think it's one thing for our sons to say we're going to go and live this rock and roll life, but I think people are quite different when it comes to their daughters. And so I love that you had that supportive,
Well, they came with me everywhere. They supervised every minute of it all. My mom sold our T-shirts for us.
Oh,
so it became a family affair. My sister was in the band too, so it was a whole family outing.
Right. That's awesome. Yeah, I was like, you can do this, but we're going to have our eye on you.
Yeah, basically.
Right. Because and the reason I asked that question is because I was on the road for years in a band too. And when I started, my mother was so supportive, but her one condition was you have to have something to back it up before you go. You have to get some kind of ticket so I took the least path of resistance and took a 10-month hairdressing course and never did anything with it. But yeah, I was curious about that. And so that how cool to have your family on board, right?
Yeah, but although no, they were all about having a backup plan too. I mean, I have a business degree and everything. They were not thinking this was going to be actually a serious thing. I think they were just happy that it was like a fun hobby and, I wasn't doing drugs.
Right. Hey, what more could you want? And now look how it's exploded. They must be just so proud and kind of blown away by it all.
Yeah, I think they're happy the way it turned out. I think they're glad that it turned out this way for me because they knew it was my passion. So yeah.
Right. And so I'm just curious, Britt, who were some of your musical, like early on musical influences?
Definitely Van Halen. Metallica was very big. Pantera, Megadeth. I listened to like more like the heavy rock when I got started, and then I just got into like the hair band scene and stuff. Love Skid Row and Guns N' Roses and Motley Crue and bands like that. And then VIXEN and Lita Ford. Those were like the only two like bands with females in it that I knew of, like in that genre, and I just thought they were so cool. So it's very full circle here that we get to play shows with Lita, and I know Lita now, and I get to play in VIXEN, so it's pretty awesome.
It must kind of feel like, because one of my questions for you was, were you a VIXEN fan previous? And obviously you were. And so I'm wondering, what's it like when you finally become part of this band that you probably grew up watching and idolizing? And is it slightly surreal in the beginning?
Yeah, but it was really perfect because like I had an all-female band growing up, and I love playing with women. So I just love the dynamic and the energy and the supportive atmosphere, and it's just my favorite thing. So yeah, it felt surreal, but also natural.
Right. And I'm glad to hear you say that you played with other female bands. One of the reasons I'm really excited to have you on, aside from the obvious talent, is that I'm such a fan of promoting talented female artists. And of course, there's more men than women. Like our good friend Michelle Truman.
Yes.
Of course, the singer Toronto, who we were just talking about before the show. So any chance I get to lift another female and showcase them, I'm all over it. And so when you're referring to your other all-girl band, Britt, was that Chick Six?
No, that was Jaded, but Chick Six was an all-female rock musical that I worked in, which was very cool, out of New York. Yeah.
Right. And so you've worked with a couple of different acts. Like I was looking at the last band you were with, which was more of a Latin sort of feel, and I was like, wow, from that sort of Latin music, to that, it's like that's quite a leap.
Yeah, so that was totally different. That was a challenging gig. I had to learn a lot for that, because I didn't grow up playing Latin rhythms and chords and stuff. So that was a challenge, but very.
And that was with that was, sorry to interrupt you. That was, just because the viewers may not know, that was Alejandro Sanz.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep, that was amazing. So that was one of the best tours ever, for sure. That was incredible. Yeah.
And I guess it would give you a chance to sort of diversify your skills,
Absolutely.
to round out your
Yeah, I'm always open for learning more. I mean, well, music is a never-ending learning process anyways. You can never know enough about it, but yeah, to be able to have that as an outlet to like really learn from, and yeah, it was amazing and valuable experience.
100%, right? And so my understanding is you play a Jackson and a Les Paul. And
those are my two favorites. Yes,
those are the two babies. And is that what your currently your acts of choice? I guess is my question.
Yes. Actually, my choice currently is the Flying V Jackson, because I just got these new great DiMarzio pickups in it, so it's sounding really good, and I'm digging that a lot. And but yeah, I just love a classic Les Paul. Can't go wrong with that.
Right on. And there'll be a lot of guitar players watching who are going to agree with you on that, I know for sure. So, I was thinking today as I was kind of reflecting and going over some of the VIXEN music, and I'm just so glad that after Jan passed, sadly of cancer in 2013, for those of you that the band decided to continue, because, so often, when one of the main members leaves for whichever reason or another, that's kind of the end of it. And I really think that, at the end of the day, we do it for them. We do it in honor of them. And it's all about the music, and people still want to hear it, however it's being delivered by whomever it's being delivered. Would you agree with that?
I agree. I totally agree. I mean, there's some bands that, there's not a lot of original members, but they're carrying on the legacy, and people want to hear it. So it's like, it's better to have it and have it in your life and have it happening than to just miss it altogether. And so, no, I think it's great. I think it's awesome that bands keep on going, and yeah, you're keeping the music alive.
Yeah. Carrying that legacy on, and you're the second most senior member.
I am now.
Yes. Right? Getting on up there. And so, it happens with bands. I mean, especially, and it's kind of a testament to the success of the band, I think, when members change, because usually it only happens with bands that have this huge longevity and continued mass appeal. And so that, as it happens, members are going to come and go. And I'm wondering, what type of challenges does that offer? And more positive ones when new members are brought on board.
Yeah, I mean, it's always a challenge to just get in the groove, right? You got to, spend some time together and
right.
get the sense of humor and get the, everybody feel comfortable making fun of each other. That's probably the biggest thing. You're with these people all the time. You want to have a good time. You want to have good energy. Nobody wants to be like walking around on eggshells, not sure if they can say something or not.
Right.
And just being comfortable with each other and understanding each other's vibes. I think that's the biggest thing. And then getting that vibe on stage too. But I think when it happens on a personality level and, when you're on a social level, then it really translates onto the stage. Because like right now, we're all such great friends and we have so much fun. And I think that shows on stage.
100%. I would agree 100%. Is there shenanigans on the road? I just think like
big shenanigan.
I just think like 4 gorgeous, talented females out there, like hide your sons. I don't know. That's
there's always plenty of shenanigans. I don't think we would do it if there were no shenanigans because the travel's too much and it can be tedious without shenanigans. So
right?
Shenanigans is really what keeps bands together, I think. Yeah.
Shenanigans are necessary.
Yeah, very necessary.
100%. And so it is some interesting facts for the viewers here. So when I say that, one of the best all-female bands like on the planet, for years, and people are still right there wanting, hungry for more music. Interesting fun fact. So VIXEN is the only all-female band from the 80s to have sold over 1 million albums, to have 6 #1 videos on MTV and 4 songs in Billboard's top 100. Wow.
Pretty good stats.
Right?
Yeah.
Doing I. So my question to you, Britt, is what do you think personally that it is about this band that set you apart, that has set this band apart from the other all-female? And I never say all-girl because I think if you ever said all-boy bands, that would be really offensive. So
right.
Right? I hate the all-girl thing. So the all-female band, what is it about VIXEN that has just captivated people then and now?
At the time, they were, trailblazers in the industry because there weren't any really all-female rock bands. There was Fanny and there were the Runaways.
Right.
But you can count them all on your fingers. There wasn't that many. So, and then there wasn't that many that really achieved that mainstream commercial success either. It was hard. And we have like Lorraine Lewis in our band singing now. And she's another one that at that time in her band Femme Fatale. It was challenging. I've heard stories about like, she'd say, I'd go into a radio station to promote my new single. And if Lita Ford's poster was up in that room, I knew my song wouldn't be played on that station because they already had their token female. Right. So, it wasn't widely accepted. And I think men are afraid of women taking over rock and roll because it's so popular.
You're right.
Because we look better and we can do it just as good. So,
and you're proving that. And, you guys are, the proof is in the pudding right here. And that's interesting that we touch, and it was something I did want to touch on with you, is just the whole, potential bias towards females. And I was remembering back to the 80s, and I remember, when I joined my first band, which actually was my only band, I stayed with it forever, but we immediately got $300, I think it was, more a week because there was a chick in the band. And I remember being really conflicted about that because part of me thought, well, more money is always good when you're a starving road rat. But at the same time, it kind of pissed me off because I thought, it was such a bias in a way. And then I felt like there was this huge pressure. You got a girl in the band, you're being paid more, this better be good. It was almost that sort of, and I guess the question in here, Britt, is that have you ever felt like that sort of bias? And like we just kind of talked about, like you were just describing with the Lita Ford and the radio station, have you ever sensed that there was a bit of a bias, or that you had to maybe try harder?
Oh yeah, of course. A lot of times, like if a band of men gets on stage, everybody just doesn't assume anything. But then when a band of females gets up on stage, I feel like a lot of times people are like judging, like, oh, we got to stay for this because we got to see how this plays out, like assuming that it might not go well or we might not know what we're doing or something like that. That doesn't happen often, but I'm saying over the course of my career, I've definitely seen that. But I don't mind it. It's fine. I enjoy taking people by surprise or, just proving somebody wrong. I'm all about it. It's fine. And yeah, I'm all about people being like, oh, you're a girl, want me to carry your guitar? Of course. Yes. Carry all my gear, please. Thank you. So,
and make me a sandwich when you're done.
Yeah.
Get me a beer too.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I can't do anything. I'm just a woman. Okay. I need all your help. All hands on deck.
Yeah, yeah, 100%. But I imagine, and I was kind of thinking the same thing you were, Britt, that, if there is that misconception, it must be really nice when you guys kick in and you see the response, and then it's kind of like, well, there you go. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but it's great. I do feel now like there's so many women artists hiring all female bands and stuff, and getting women in the bands and mainstream acts and stuff. So I think we're getting to a really good place with that now. So
right. I don't think it's the same as it was maybe back in the 80s.
No.
I think, thank God, we've evolved.
Yeah, in some ways.
Right. Yeah, in some ways, yeah, it's still, but yeah. So I'm curious, who are you listening to these days?
Oh, I don't like this question because I should be listening to a lot of new bands, but I generally kind of stay with my same playlist I've been listening to for the past 10 years. I really got to work on that. I love my classic rock.
I'm the same way. You don't have to apologize. I'm the same way.
It's hard to get into new music because there's so many ways to hear it. The market's so oversaturated. It's not like you can turn on the radio and they're playing the next new hit. I mean, everything's on Spotify and on YouTube and SoundCloud, and
Right.
it's hard to keep track of it all. So unless somebody specifically says, I want you to listen to this band, I generally probably won't hear about it unless it's live at a show or something like that. But
I'm the same way. I really am the same way. This is a conversation that I've had with my past few guests because it's one involving the pros and cons of technology. And and there's two schools of thought. It's like, I mean, it's brilliant because it allows us to do, things like this show, for example, and things like that. And, during the COVID, people were able to still record albums because of technology. But I think there's something to what you just said, Britt, and we're being like oversaturated with just music from everyone and everything. And to me, it kind of made it lost some of its magic, whereas it used to be like when you heard a song on the radio, it was by somebody, and you had to go to a concert to see them, or you had to buy their album to see them.
Yeah, I'm just buying the album. If we still bought albums, I think that would be more exciting, because that was the only place you could get it, or you recorded it off of your radio or something like that, I like that. I missed that because, that did give like a mystique to it all.
That's a perfect term for it. It gave it a certain mystique that necessarily maybe won't be there anymore.
Right. Like I was just talking to somebody about that one of the first gatefold albums, like the Stones that the Stones had, and you open it up and you see Mick and the outfits and everything, and how inspiring that is, or was.
And to be able to sit and read the album cover for hours.
Yeah, you would just study albums. Like I would just study the artwork. I would recreate the artwork like over and over again. Like, you know what I mean? Yeah, you get really into it.
Right. So speaking of concerts, Britt, what was the first concert you ever saw?
Stone Temple Pilots.
Oh, wow. That would have been a good way to kickstart off your concert life.
Yes, I love that band. They were a big influence when I started playing too. And well, the first concert I was supposed to go to, I asked permission from my parents, and they said, chaperone going, and I said no, because I told the truth. It was the wildest thing. And so they were
never do that.
Yeah, they were like, well, you're not going then. And I was like, what do you mean? And so then for STP, I said I'm going to sleep over at my girlfriend. So that's how I got to my first concert.
Oh, you tried the truth the first time. So
they didn't appreciate it. It was not
nowhere.
Yeah, they did not reward the truth.
Yeah, surprisingly enough, my very first concert was Van Halen.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, I think I was about 11, and I went with my brother, and my mind was blown. Like I was probably too young to even be there, but I was interested in, like yourself, from the time I was 6. This is where I wanted to go. And I remember Diamond Dave came out and, doing his Diamond Dave kicks and those, and I was I was in love, and I was infatuated with the whole process. And then I saw Ted Nugent, and I remember Ted Nugent, and I was probably 11.
Amazing.
Came swinging out wearing nothing but a loincloth. He came swinging on a vine across the stage wearing nothing but a smile and a loincloth, and I was hooked. Oh
my God, I love that story. Oh, I love that. That's awesome. That's great.
So actually, I speaking of VIXEN again, when I first fell in love with VIXEN is I saw them on the Arsenio Hall show, and they performed, I believe it was How Much Love, and I love that song because I always loved Richard Marx. and Richard Marx, of course, and Fee Waybill from the Tubes wrote that song, which
Uh, Edge of a Broken Heart.
Edge of a Broken Heart. I'm sorry, right, Edge of a Broken Heart. And I thought, wow, too, like, because I always loved Richard Marx, and then I was so fascinated with VIXEN, and then I found out he wrote some songs, and I was like, wow.
Yeah, he's really talented. Yeah.
So speaking of the writing process, I'm curious, what is it like now? Because I know you were recently, VIXEN was recently in Boston recording a single, or
Yes, yeah. It's pretty much like we all get together and kind of collaborate. Just we like to just all get in a room together and just see what happens. And yeah, it's been going.
So it's a collaborative kind of
Yeah.
thing. There's no like one main songwriter or
No, everybody's very open to everybody's ideas, and everybody kind of likes to write their own parts once we have something. So
right.
it's good. Yeah.
I think that's the best way to do it anyway, because I mean, let's face it, 5 or 4 brains are better than one.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean? You get all that different input in, and
you want everybody to be happy too. So it's like if you say no, this is your guitar part and you can't change it. If the guitar player doesn't like it, I mean, that's not going to go well anyway. So you might as well get your own, and everybody be happy.
Absolutely. And so were you always writing, Britt? Like, did you write before you came to VIXEN?
I did, yeah. I don't write as much as often as I should because I'm always, on the
road, busy. Yeah.
But I do really enjoy it, and something I always say I need to make more time for.
Right. But I imagine there's been a lot of touring on, and how great is it to be back after the strange, I call COVID the strange, because holy hell. So how did you amuse yourself during that time?
Oh, I actually was very busy during that time. I thought I was going to make my own album, and then I ended up getting busy. I also work with Rock and Roll Fantasy Camp, and help run these camps. And during COVID, we started to do we started to plan a camp, and then COVID hit. So no live camps, because these are live events. They're these 4-day events in different cities. And we need to do it in Canada, actually. We were talking about doing one in Canada, but we do them in like Vegas. We have one coming up next week in New York. And they're these 4 days events where you get together and people join a band. It's mostly for adults. It's not like a kid camp so much. And it's for adults that always wish they were rock stars and still want to be. And so they are a rock star for the weekend. They get to jam with their heroes. We have Ace Frehley from Kiss coming to this camp next week, Nels Klein of Wilco, Chuck Leavell of the Rolling Stones and Allman Brothers, and amazing counselors. And you join a band for 4 days, and then you play with your heroes, and you get to play live shows and everything. It's really fun.
And you're the musical director. You were the musical director.
Yes. Oh, I was like, why am I telling this story? Now I remember. So anyways, we were going to do that, and then COVID hit. And so instead of the camps, we ended up doing these online masterclasses, connecting artists with people when we were all quarantined, and, everybody was in isolation, and it was really amazing. I hosted over 170 masterclasses on Zoom, with people from like Roger Daltrey of The Who to Alice Cooper to managers like Shep Gordon, and, label execs like Jason Flom of Lava Records, and just so much stuff. And it was just great. And that really kept me going through COVID. I mean, it was fun because I didn't feel like I was alone. I was on Zoom talking to all these people all day long. It was like,
right.
It was really therapeutic also.
For 100%. Thank God for the technology. Like, I don't know where we would have been during that strange, without the arts, without music and live concerts, streaming, and that sort of thing. And did the whole COVID situation change your perspective at all, Britt, on, just on life and what's important? And
definitely. I think you realize kind of who you keep in touch with, who your real friends are, who checks in on you, family, spent more time connecting with them. They live in Boston. I live in LA. I did a really fun thing with my dad where we would, he's a great cook, and, obviously I wasn't dining out during COVID. So we would do FaceTime cooking classes together. So he'd give me the ingredient list. I'd get all the ingredients, and then we'd cook together. And then we'd eat it together over FaceTime. So we would do that. And you try to like focus on the quality things. I think during COVID, I think that's what came out of it for me.
Right. I would agree with you too. And I'm assuming, I don't know, maybe I shouldn't ask this, but if you live alone, I live alone, and the COVID, You know, and in the beginning I was like, oh, these married people are so lucky because they have someone to hang out with. And then a month in, I'm talking to my friends who are married, and I'm like, thank God I'm on my own.
Oh my God. I gotta say, I enjoyed the time alone. I do, and it's the best. And I could not imagine being stuck with another person. So yeah, kudos to all you people that
they're still married.
No,
that's a terrible thing for me to say, but I would agree with you, Britt. It didn't. I mean, it made me view things differently, and in my bucket list changed significantly because it was always about big things for me. You know, my bucket list was always these big grand things, and then after that happened, because I think it really threw people, because as a society we're so used to things being fixable. You know, something major happens, and there's a fix, you know, the government can fix it, or Amazon can fix it, or there's a YouTube video to tell you how to fix it. And this was something that just nobody could do anything about. And so for me, my bucket list now looks so much different. It's about,
what's number one on your bucket list now?
Really, it's just now today is what makes me happy is when my family and friends are good, when they're happy and their lives are going well, my heart is happy. You know, my next on my bucket list is flying home to see my sister for Christmas.
Good.
You know, it's those things. It's waking up every day and just like, how can I make this the best day ever? How can I, you know, be as kind as I can be to others? How can I, you know, like things like, and I'm not always on board with it, you know, but I try. And that's different after COVID than it was pre, because before it was always just big material things, maybe more than, you know, what really matters, which is, you know, the people we love and you know, and that sort of thing. So here's a question for you, Britt, because I grew up, and most of my viewers in Canada, we grew up listening to American music, you know, probably, you know, and Canadian as well, but probably predominantly, you know, and of course the bands from England and the, you know, the Stones and Pink Floyd and that. But I'm wondering, growing up in Boston, and I'm surprised you don't have a Boston accent.
It comes out after a couple beers.
I'm from Boston. Oh man.
Wicked, I say wicked a lot. Yeah. I'm just trained well right now.
I love the accent. I love the Boston accent.
I like it too, actually.
You talking to me over here? Or get over there.
Yeah.
It just sounds tough, right? It just sounds like, don't mess with me.
I know.
There was a question in there. So my question for you in there was, did you grow up listening to any Canadian? Like, I always wondered, did Americans get a supply of our Canadian well-known artists as much as we did, or?
You know, not as much. I don't think it went that way as much.
Right.
God, I'm drawing a blank on your rock band up there.
That's okay. That's okay. No, I get it.
I want to mention, begins with a T. Oh gosh. Okay.
Are they all men?
Yeah.
Harlequin, Prism, Streetheart, April Wine, Kim Mitchell, Trooper.
Wait, no, keep going. Maybe it's not a T. Wait.
It starts with a T?
No, maybe it's not a T.
Oh, okay. But anyway, and that's fine. I didn't mean to put you on the spot, but I'm just,
I did want to name drop one artist, and I'm getting over cold, so I think you've got brain fog. But
don't worry
I'm gonna text you as soon as this is over and be like, this was the band I wanted to talk about.
It's all good. Think about it if it pops in, come back. Yeah, I'm doing the Red Bull thing today because I get brain foggy too, and this gives me wings.
Oh, see, I need caffeine. I'm just drinking this tea for my throat, but.
So I'm wondering, did you listen to Lee Aaron?
Not so much.
No, I don't. And I always wanted to ask somebody that because I don't know a lot of American people personally. And I always wondered, you know, did they have a real sense of what Canadian music was all about? And you just answered,
not really.
You've answered that question.
I feel like I didn't really hear tons about a band until like Nickelback came down from there, you know, like that was like the biggest Canadian band that I remember, you know.
Right. And Alanis Morissette, did you ever listen to her?
Oh yeah, Alanis for sure, yeah.
Right. I remember when she came out and I was just like, God, this chick's got balls.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I was in the cover band at that time, and we immediately picked up like 2 or 3 of her songs, and now she's on tour again. So, you know, there's another artist that's just this longevity, like people still, you know, Giant Little Pill was such a killer album, and you know, all these years later, people still want to hear it.
Yeah. Rick Emmett, what's his band?
Triumph.
Thank you.
Thank you, baby Jesus, because that would have driven you nuts.
Okay, I was like, I'm not even listening to what you're saying now because all I can think about is listening to them. No, okay, that's it. There we go. Yeah, so they're awesome. I knew about them.
Super great. Yeah, Rick's been on the show and he was just such a lovely human. And yeah, right on. No, and I'm glad that you answered that honestly, because I kind of figured that would have been the answer. And but yeah, again, I had like Philip Schaus from Accept was on the show, but you're the only two Americans I've had on, and I never asked that question before, so I was always curious about that. So, have you been to any concerts recently?
Yes. Well, I got to see a lot of bands on the Kiss cruise, which was great. I mean, I really mostly see concerts when I'm playing them, so I watch the other people on the bill. But I did go to see Aerosmith, their residency that they're doing in Vegas, and that was amazing because they're one of my favorite bands ever, and another Boston band. Yeah, so they're that was an incredible show. I just love Joe and Steven. They're dynamic together. It's just so good.
How do you not love those boys?
Yeah.
Oh my God. Yeah. Great concerts. I was lucky enough too. I saw Styx and Bryan Adams like in the last month or so. So yeah, really, really great shows. So here's a question for you, Britt, and this is kind of I call this my Barbara Walters portion of the show. I mean, you're probably too young to know who she is.
No, I know.
Do you know? Okay. So what advice, Britt, would you, looking back, knowing what you know now, that sort of thing, what advice would you give your 18-year-old self?
A lot. No.
Bring it down into categories. Okay, let's start with this. Why don't we say professionally?
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, I would say don't be so hard on yourself. Don't compare yourself to others. Just do what you do. Don't try to be somebody else. Don't try to be like, don't try to play guitar like, Yngwie, if that's not your thing, if that's not what you're good at, find what you're good at and focus on that and just get better at that. Don't just want to be somebody that you're not and try so hard, because you're never going to be as good as that person that you're trying to be because you idolize them. And it's just, so find your own strengths. Everybody has their own strengths. Even if you think you don't, you do. And really capitalize on that and be comfortable with yourself and, see the beauty and the uniqueness in yourself and love yourself. That is like so important. And be open-minded. I think when I was younger, I feel pretty open-minded at this stage in my life. And just seeing other opportunities as good things, not things to like sway you off your path. Like, I kind of thought if I wanted to do something, there was one way to get there, but there's not. There's all these other paths that can still lead to the same destination, but sometimes the path isn't as direct as you would think. And that doesn't mean that you're not going the right way. It just means that life is, you got to roll with it. And all challenges are opportunities to learn and grow.
Beautiful. I love what you said. Yeah. I think the only thing I would tell my 18-year-old self is like, you know what? It's all going to be okay. It's all going to be okay.
That too. It always works out somehow.
Yeah, because sometimes when things seem like, especially, and I'm sure a lot of people went through this during the whole COVID thing, it's like, you get this sense of panic and your security's been ripped from you, all that. And you always have to think of another time when you felt that same fear, and it always works out. It's always okay one way or the other, maybe not in the, the way or the speed that you think it should be. But I think that would be my advice to my younger self. You know what? Just breathe. It's all going to be okay.
Yeah. And trust in yourself. Like, COVID was very scary at first. Like nobody knew how they were going to make money. And you just have to trust in yourself that you will do the best for you and take care of you, because you have this drive to survive. Right. And and to keep carrying on.
Right. Yeah. Great advice. Britt, that was your opinion. And I'm going to ask, because I just said advice and it triggered me to think, do you have advice for upcoming female artists?
Just keep doing what you're doing and don't let anybody's opinion sway you. Opinions are just like assholes. It has nothing to do with you, honestly. It has nothing to do with you. It has to do with their own views and conception of something, and it actually has nothing to do with you. So if somebody has a bad opinion of you, you get a bad review, someone tells you your song sucks, like whatever, carry on. Just keep plowing through and just to keep doing you.
Great. And I love what you just said even before this, because I think that was good advice too in your other answers about kind of like finding your niche, like stay in your lane and hone that lane. You
Yeah.
know, yeah, exactly, 100%. So, well, I know the viewers are going to want to know this. What's coming up next for VIXEN? I know you have some cool dates coming up. There's a Wisconsin date with Warrant and Quiet Riot coming up, I think in December 17th.
Yep, that's going to be fun. Yeah, that's our
Right.
actually for the year. So we're wrapping up the year with that, and focusing on writing and recording and other things. So that'll be good. But then we have 2023 kicking it off. I think we've got some plans.
The 80s cruise.
What? 80s cruise? Yes.
The 80s cruise. Yeah.
Yes, that's going to be a blast. I've never done that particular cruise, so that's going to be fun. Yeah, so we got that, and I think we're going to be heading to Australia and South America, and so we've got some good plans coming up.
That's exciting stuff. And I would imagine like this 80s cruise, I was looking at the lineup and it was like, holy crap. I mean, you know, Bret Michaels and Devo and Kim Wilde and Howard Jones, and like, how exciting is that? There's got to be something to just being with that type, you know, just that level of and amount of just creativity and talent.
Oh yeah, it's awesome to be just surrounded by great artists and talent. That's what I love about the cruises and the festivals. Everybody gets together, and it's a lot of good energy.
Shenanigans, I'm guaranteed.
Shenanigans. Most important.
I just want to take a second and give a huge shout out to my show sponsors. This is cool, Britt, if you probably haven't heard of this. So Writers and Rockers Coffee Company does Rockstar endorsed coffee blends.
Love it.
Yeah, the newest one is actually Stephen Piercy from Rat has his new endorsed brand, and this is Trooper Raise a Little Hell. And I'm really grateful to have them on board. Their coffee's been featured at the Grammy Awards and the MTV Awards and all kinds of good stuff. So big shout out to you guys for sponsoring the show. Britt, just kind of in closing here, I have another deep Barbara Walters question for you. What are you most proud of?
That's a good question. I am most proud of, that's a good one, Barbara.
Baba Wawa.
Let's see. I am most proud of, I think, my character, because I think that I am, an honest, trustworthy, great friend. I think that I'm, a kind person. And now I just feel like I'm giving myself compliments here, but I think I'm happy with the person that I have become, as far as, just my character and being authentic and genuine. And, but I think all that is a result of being grateful and fortunate to do what I love for a living, too. So, all those things I'm very proud of. And like you, I just, I'm very grateful for every single day. I'm not a big plan ahead person. I'm just like day to day, because you never know in this world what could happen. So I'm with you. Make every day the best day, and and live wonderfully every day.
Right. Live your best life every day. Right. I love it. You're delightful. You're delightful. Britt Lightning. I would hang with you if I was in the LA area.
I know. We have that sometime.
There would be shenanigans.
Oh, absolutely. I'm planning them already.
Right on. I can't thank you enough, Britt. And I really do just kind of want to dedicate this show to Jan. And, on behalf of the fans, just keep rocking and keep on doing what you do so well. Beautiful. It's just been an absolute pleasure to talk with you.
Thank you. Likewise. I really enjoyed speaking with you too. And thank you everybody for watching.
Yeah, thanks for your time, Britt. Hey, everybody, thanks so much for tuning in. I'm Kelly Barrett at Etcetera Live. Have a great week. We'll see you next week. Until then, stay safe and sane. Be really nice to each other. Bye-bye.